brought to you by Genscape. My name is Jonathan Dale, and I'm the European Product Specialist based here out of Genscape's Amsterdam office. So this afternoon we'll explore Genscape's European operations, the latest release of Power RT Europe, and what it can do for you. Some real-life scenarios featuring Genscape's data, generation outage sources and public data, future developments for EU Power, and finally, any questions for you, the viewer. If at any stage you have questions regarding Genscape or the Power RT interface, please enter in the question panel. You should see it at the right-hand side of your screen, and either myself or one of the other Power analysts here will get back to you as soon as possible or at the end of their webinar. So for those of you who are unsure of Genscape's business, we are originators of real-time power data, information to support decision-making whilst utilizing patented technologies and algorithms. Initially based in North America, we entered into the European markets in 2003, and we now have over 2,000 monitoring units across 12 European countries reporting in real time 24/7. Our current European Power RT coverage stands at 428 proprietary plants, covering 335,000 megawatts of installed capacity, which currently stands at about 59% of the total stack. This looks like 69% of coal and lignite capacity and 100% of nuclear coverage. Our primary technology used to monitor these power flows and generation is the EMF monitor. It detects power flow via electromagnetic field monitoring, by which we're able to calibrate the data into accurate and timely megawatt figures. The graph here depicts such a scenario. The red box identifies a generator failing, correlating to a rapid decline in power output. Moving forward through the month of March, you're able to see the power plant returning to normal operation and the power ramping up, seen by the blue line. In addition to our EMF monitoring, we utilize our infrared expertise developed in our monitoring of oil terminal facilities. Data for these plants we're able to monitor without EMF. Although less granular than our EMF data, this binary on-off data from the infrared imagery allows us to provide strategic plant data, further expanding the valuable coverage to our customers. The two images seen on the slide here represent the Berlin Mitte plant. The left-hand image showing a cool off image, whilst the right-hand image depicting a hot on reading. So now let's consider the interface itself. You should now all visualize the interface itself. For those of you for whom this is the first viewing of the Genscape Power interface, it is primarily built around the interactive and live updated European map. This features the various fuel icons, each representing a Genscape monitored plant. Here seen in the legend, the map springs to life with the various datasets visualized. The various fuel types and color coding correlate to different plant scenarios. Additional panels provide further information, including a summary view of generation by country, which can then be broken down by fuel type within a specific market, an alerts panel displaying a history of any alerts triggered by a generation event our monitors have captured, the quick chart displaying specific plant generation, And finally, our more recent addition, the generation outage panel. I'll come back to these panels a little later, but first let's consider the map and how it all ties these panels together. In visualizing each individual plant, Genscape has enabled the user to easily access generation and flow data by simply hovering over a plant.
It looks like we might be having some technical difficulties. Can you guys please stand by while we fix them? Just one moment, please.
No. Okay, we're back. So now we can see the no-jump plant here visualized in the quick generation chart. In doing so, the quick chart to the left of the map will populate with the last 4 days of data for this specific plant. This history can then be altered with the tabs or historic slider in the timeline. To expand the data into a more comprehensive data set, one click will pull up the plant details page featuring all of our data for the plant of interest. Again here, you're able to see the visualized historic charting of plant generation, which can be altered to study a window of interest. In addition to Genscape's own proprietary data, where available, we'll include public data, which can be seen represented by the black line on the top of the graph. Equally, in such cases, we are able to include actual generator output, seen in the bottom chart. Side tabs provide further information of alert history and plant or unit information. Returning to our map, we're able to filter and customize our view. Specific fuel types, such as coal, gas, lignite, nuclear, hydro, and other new renewables. And recently, an unmonitored plant layer, which provides a further depth of transparency covering the plants that Genscape currently do not monitor. A single click will pull up further data on such unmonitored plants. The current settings include a weather overlay of actual temperatures. Alternatively, an infrared satellite image overlay can be included. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the generation outage panel, displaying normalized and enhanced outage information from 21 public sources. This panel can be filtered and customized to the needs and interests of the specific user. With embedded filters enabling a detailed insight into outage events of the past 15 days and out to future events 15 days from now, The panel provides a further layer of detail and depth to any generation outage event, allowing the user to track an outage from its initial Genscape monitored alert and then identify the relevant public data relating to the event. In addition to the outage panel, the information visible here is also available through a report function, which provides the user with access to greater history of these messages. Moving away from the home screen to this and other reporting functions via the Report tab at the top of the screen. One of the most popular functions here is the Genscape generation report, producing a 7-day historic look back at the performance and behavior of plants in a specific country or Europe as a whole. The ability to generate multiple charts alongside each other allows the user to track relative performance of plants, quickly coming up to speed on trends or activity on a morning or over a weekend. Another of the reporting functions of great use to its clients is the generation change report. This function allows the user to run in real time a snapshot of current production across all of our plants against their production exactly 24 hours previously. Let's run such a report for France now. Seen here, the megawatt figures represent the actual change in production compared to this time yesterday. The export to CSV function allows this data to be extracted and analyzed as the user wishes. Alongside this export capability, users can access the Genscape data download page, whereby specific plant data can be extracted and saved in report format. Having covered much of the interface's capabilities and functions, we can now return to the presentation for a few cases, the benefits of Genscape's proprietary data. Let's examine this example from Monday the 25th of February. The coal-fired plant Lucy tripped offline at 4 p.m. Genscape monitors captured the event, and we can see the megawatt generation graph falling away rapidly, depicted by the blue line. However, as with all plants where we include public data, we can see the public data tracking along prior to this event. However, as we can see, the moment the generation data starts to fall away, we see a halt in public data reporting, leaving a gap in data around this event. As a subscribed Genscape user, such a scenario and its increasing frequency provides a prime opportunity for trading around such events. This Genscape proprietary data was later supplemented by the outage panel, providing further details of the duration as to when the plant was scheduled to come back online. As a PowerRT user, users are also have access to a frequency events notification, which will correspond confirming when a possible trip has occurred. The last example of this was the Belstov 2 trip on Friday the 8th of March. Genscape patented technology is able to confirm when such an event corresponds to a frequency event on the grid. and a notification email is issued to all users. Returning to the generation outage panel and reporting function, as we saw earlier, the report itself allows access to a greater history of outage information and data, with current sources scraped by the Genscape team from RWE, Nordpool, Turner, E.ON Italy, Germany, EMBW, GDF Suez, all RTE participants, Tenet, Toron, Delta, and Vattenfall, with the listed public data sites intended to be added soon. In addition to these new scraped data sources, we will be continuing to develop the generation outage features. This will be through the visualization of the data on the plant details page. As seen in the screenshot, users will be able to view the installed effect of the outage in graphical form into the future. As well as developing the products itself, we're constantly working to build out and expand our coverage. As you can see, through 2012 there was a particular focus on Spain and the interzonal Italian flows captured via the STPs, or strategic transmission points. With 24.7 gigawatts of new plants added and 10 gigawatts of STPs. In conjunction to our expansion across our existing European markets, we are always responding to clients' feedback. And the expansion into Austria is as a direct result of this. Our first Austrian monitored entity will go live this Friday, the 15th, at Aschach, with the targeted following plants to be released with a full product rollout in April. Feedback from two major existing clients saw us target primarily hydro with our first monitors, seeking to capture the generation data through the spring melt. Looking further ahead, we'll see Genscape expand into Slovakia and the Balkans. Q2 of 2013 will see monitored entities in Slovakia come online, with Serbia and Croatia to follow in the second half of 2013, as a direct response to existing client feedback and the Genscape market outlook. As always, we will continue to expand our coverage of the existing markets. And this year, Q1 has seen a focus on the Iberian renewables, with some recent examples of Genscape coverage hitting 84% of online Spanish wind capacity. This new focus into the renewables is as a direct response to the ever-changing EU fuel stack. Thank you for taking your time out this afternoon to look into the expansion and development of the EU Power RT interface. And now we'll have a look at some of the questions that people have sent in to us. Please feel free to enter any questions now that you may have regarding the interface or any of the points we've raised this afternoon. So I see someone's just added a question, do we offer a database connection as well? So all of the data that you can see streaming live into the interface itself is available via a data feed service or in hourly aggregated files which we provide through our pub web service. So we've also had another question regarding other Balkan countries. Certainly, you've mentioned Bulgaria, Serbia, and Slovenia there. Serbia is certainly on our hit list for this year, Serbia and Croatia. So those two will certainly be on our intended to capture lists. With regards to Bulgaria and Slovenia, there's certainly markets that we're looking into, and there's renewed and growing interest into these markets. So we're always responding to that. Along with, I see someone's just put Turkey there as well. Turkey's certainly a market of particular interest to us at the moment, and I think it would certainly be a situation where, as the market develops there and matures, that Genscape would look to provide some sort of product in that space. How do we monitor the cross-border flows? The STPs, which are at Genscape what we call the cross-border flows, are monitored in the same fashion as the power plants themselves. We utilize the EMF technology to calibrate into a flow figure crossing these strategic transmission points. I think that's answered the majority of the questions there. If there are any further questions that any of you may have regarding the data, I think someone's just answered another question there with regarding to the public data which we monitor. So with regards to the scraped entities we included on the generation outages, there was a list of those on the presentation itself. Along with the generation data as well, we provide data for the Netherlands, Germany, where available, and obviously we include the RTE data, which we looked at with the case of the plant at Lucy. Unfortunately, the interface itself can only be a web-hosted interface. We don't provide it as actual desktop software. I think that's all of the questions answered so far. But as I was saying, on this final slide, you can see my email address, jdale@genscape.com, and I'd be happy to answer any further questions regarding coverage, our expansion plans, or the product itself. And if any of you would like to trial the product, to explore it in your own time, then again, feel free to reach out to myself, jdale@genscape.com, or any of the EU sales representatives who can be contacted at the eusales@genscape.com address. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. As I said, feel free to reach out to myself or any of my colleagues with further questions. And it's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon about Genscape's developments here in Europe. Thanks. Good afternoon.